The next morning, Mara woke to the sound of birds chirping and a soft breeze rustling through the trees. Near the settlement, she stretched slowly, feeling her body stronger after a full day of food and rest for the first time in weeks. Her thoughts were not consumed by hunger or fear. Instead, she wondered what she could do to repay the kindness Aaron had shown her. Aaron was already outside, preparing a small fire for breakfast. When he saw Mara stepping out, he waved, "Morning, ready for a new day?" he asked, his smile warm and encouraging. Mara nodded, feeling a small surge of determination. "I want to help," she said softly. "I don't want to just take from everyone." Aaron's eyes brightened. "That's the spirit. Come on, we can gather supplies and fix some things around the settlement." He handed her a small basket, and they set out together. Mara moved carefully at first, still adjusting to the physical demands after days of hunger. But with each step, she felt her strength returning. As they worked, Aaron explained the tasks and taught Mara how to handle tools safely. "It's not just about strength," he said. "It's about patience and understanding. Every small task matters." Mara listened intently, following his instructions. She noticed how he treated everyone, humans and aliens alike, with respect and fairness. It was a new experience for her, and she felt a small spark of admiration for him while repairing a broken fence. Mara noticed her own reflexes were sharper than she had realized. When a loose board threatened to fall, she caught it with ease, surprising herself. Aaron looked at her, impressed. "You have quick reflexes," he said. "That could be very useful here." Mara felt a flush of pride. For the first time, she realized that her differences were not weaknesses, they could be strengths. Later, they moved to gather water from a nearby stream. Mara balanced carefully on slippery rocks, her movements precise and confident. Aaron watched, silently, allowing her to take the lead. "You're learning fast," he said. "I think you'll fit in here better than you imagine." Mara felt warmth in her chest. She wanted to believe him, but years of being rejected made her cautious. Still, she followed him willingly, feeling a growing trust in his guidance. During a short rest, Mara opened up about her past. "Where I come from," she said slowly. "People don't like outsiders. They mock us, chase us away. I've never had a place where I could just belong." Aaron listened quietly, nodding. He didn't interrupt or judge. "That's why it's important to create a different world," he said. "One where people can be safe, no matter who they are. And you're part of that now." Mara thought about his words. They were simple, but powerful. She had been so used to rejection that the idea of being accepted felt almost unreal. Yet, the kindness she experienced was real, and she could feel it in the warmth of the sun, the coolness of the water, and the gentle guidance of Aaron. As the day passed, Mara discovered more about her abilities. She could see in near darkness, detect subtle changes in the wind, and move quietly over rough terrain. Aaron noticed and encouraged her. "Those skills could help the settlement," he said. "You can protect yourself and others. Strength isn't always about fighting, it's about using what you have wisely." Mara's confidence grew. For the first time, she felt capable rather than weak. In the afternoon, they returned to the settlement with baskets full of supplies. Mara helped distribute food and water to others, receiving nods of appreciation in return. The feeling of being useful, of being seen as capable, lifted her spirit. She realized that kindness and trust could be returned and that her presence mattered to the community. As the sun began to set, Mara and Aaron sat by a small fire outside his house. The sky was painted in shades of orange and purple, and the settlement was bathed in a soft glow. "I've never had someone believe in me like this," Mara admitted, her voice quiet but sincere. Aaron smiled, placing a gentle hand on her shoulder. Belief is simple, he said. You just have to give it a chance. You've earned it. Mara looked around at the settlement, at the people moving about, helping and supporting each other. She felt a sense of belonging she had never known. For the first time, she allowed herself to hope that maybe she could build a new life here, a life where she was respected, valued, and safe. That night, as she lay under the soft roof of Arn's home, Mara thought about the journey ahead. Challenges would come, and not everyone would welcome her. But with trust, patience, and the support of those who cared, she could face anything. For the first time in a long while, Mara slept peacefully, her heart lighter, her spirit stronger, and her mind filled with the possibility of a future where she truly belonged. The morning light crept through the small windows of the house, casting soft beams across the wooden floor. Mara woke slowly, her body still tired but stronger than the night before. The memory of warmth, food, and kindness filled her mind, and for the first time in days, she felt a small spark of hope. Arin, the human who had helped her, was already up, tending to a small garden outside the house. He moved with care, his hands gently brushing over the plants, checking their growth. When he saw Mara wake, he smiled and waved. "Good morning. Sleep well?" Mara nodded, her lips trembling slightly as she smiled back. "Yes, better than I have in a long time." She stretched her arms and glanced round the small room. It was simple, but it felt like home for the first time in weeks. She had no memory of comfort like this. "Come, I'll show you round," Aaron said, opening the door to the bright morning. Mara stepped outside, shielding her eyes from the light. The settlement was small, just a cluster of wooden houses and workshops, but it felt alive. Smoke rose from chimneys, and she could hear the faint chatter of people preparing for the day. Aaron led her through the settlement, pointing out the various places. "This is the workshop. I fix machines and tools here. And that is the common kitchen, where everyone helps each other with food." Mara listened quietly, absorbing every detail. The thought that people could live together without cruelty or mockery was almost foreign to her. As they walked, Mara's stomach growled faintly. Aaron chuckled. "Don't worry, you'll get used to proper meals here. We make sure everyone eats." Mara felt a warmth in her chest, a feeling she had almost forgotten. She wanted to trust him, but years of being mocked made her cautious. Why are you helping me?" Mara asked softly. Breaking the silence, her voice was almost a whisper, but it held a mixture of curiosity and fear. Aaron stopped and looked at her, his expression gentle. "Because no one should be left alone to suffer. I've seen too many people, alien and human alike, ignored or abandoned. I don't want that for you." Mara blinked, touched by his words. She had expected mockery or indifference, not compassion. They reached a small, sparkling stream nearby. Aaron knelt and cupped his hands in the water. "Drink," he said, offering it to Mara. The water was cold and clean, refreshing her parched throat. She drank slowly, feeling life return to her limbs. "You are stronger than you think," Aaron said, smiling. "Hunger and cold may weaken your body, but your mind and spirit are still alive. That matters more." Mara looked at him, surprised by his encouragement. No one had ever spoken to her like that. As the day went on, Mara and Aaron collected firewood and repaired parts of the settlement's fences. Mara's body was still weak, but with each small task, she felt a little stronger. She noticed how Aaron moved with purpose, teaching her gently how to handle tools without injury. He never rushed her, never scolded her for mistakes. During a short break, Mara sat on a rock, wiping sweat from her brow. I don't know if I could survive alone, she admitted quietly. Aaron sat beside her, nodding in understanding. You don't have to, he said simply. You're not alone anymore. You can learn, grow, and even help others. That's what makes life worth living. Mara felt a lump in her throat. His words were simple, yet they carried weight. She had been ignored and mocked so often that the idea of someone believing in her felt miraculous. Suddenly, a group of young aliens from a nearby settlement appeared on the hill. They stared at Mara and Aaron, whispering to one another. Mara stiffened, fearing ridicule or attack. One of the aliens stepped forward, smirking. So, the weakling got rescued by a human? He said. Mara's stomach nodded, but Aaron stepped in front of her. Leave her alone, he said firmly. The aliens laughed and turned away, muttering under their breath. Mara felt a mixture of fear and relief. She realized she didn't need to face them alone. Aaron had her back. As evening approached, Aaron and Mara returned to the house. Mara felt tired but happy. She had survived her first full day with food, warmth, and safety. She realized that trust could be given slowly and carefully, and maybe, just maybe, she could find a place where she belonged. That night, Mara sat quietly by the fire, her hands warming against the flickering flames. She thought about the aliens who had mocked her, the hunger that had threatened her, and the kindness that had saved her. She understood something new. In a world that often showed cruelty, there were still people who could show compassion, and that was a kind of power, all its own. For the first time in a long while, Mara allowed herself to hope. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but with Aaron's guidance and the safety of the settlement, she felt ready to face them. The fire crackled softly, and the stars above shone gently, as if the universe itself were smiling down on her. Mara closed her eyes, a small smile on her face, and whispered to herself, maybe I'm not alone anymore. Mara stumbled over the cracked rocks of the wasteland, her small frame shaking from hunger and cold. The twin suns had long set, leaving a pale blue darkness that stretched endlessly in every direction. Her stomach ached as she held her hands over it, feeling the emptiness gnawing at her. She had traveled far from her home planet, seeking safety and food. But the world she found was cruel and unforgiving. Earlier that day, she had approached a small group of aliens in the dusty market town. Their eyes glimmered with curiosity at first, but soon their faces twisted into smirks and laughter. Go away, one of them sneered. We have nothing for the weak, Mara had begged, her voice trembling. She offered them the few trinkets she carried, hoping for even a scrap of bread or water. But they shook their heads and walked away, leaving her alone and ashamed. Her mind wandered as she stumbled along. Mara remembered her mother's gentle words, kindness is stronger than hunger, Mara. Never forget it, even in darkness. But right now, she could hardly remember what kindness felt like. She thought about turning back, but there was nowhere to go. The towns were closed to strangers, and the forests surrounding them were rumored to be dangerous. The cold wind whipped at her skin, and she shivered under the thin, worn cloak she wore. Mara crouched behind a large rock, trying to catch her breath. Her legs shook, and her vision blurred from exhaustion. She closed her eyes and whispered a silent plea to anyone, anything, who might hear her. Please, just a little help. I don't want to die. Her voice was barely audible over the howling wind. The night stretched on, and Mara felt the weight of hopelessness pressing down on her. She had survived many hardships, but this felt different. This was a loneliness that gnawed at her heart. She had no friends here, no allies, and no one to look after her. Even the small animals that sometimes scurried through the wasteland avoided her. Sensing her weakness, a sudden rustle in the sand made her flinch. Mara froze, straining her ears. Her heart pounded as shadows moved near the rocks. She held her breath, unsure if it was a predator or just the wind. Her instincts screamed at her to run, but her legs were too weak. She tried to steady herself, wishing she had even a scrap of food to give her strength. Then, a soft voice broke the silence. "Hey, are you okay?" Mara blinked and turned her head slowly. Standing a few feet away was a young man with kind eyes and simple clothing. He carried a small satchel over his shoulder and held out a flask of water. Mara's mouth went dry. She hesitated, afraid it was a trick, but her body was too weak to resist. I'm hungry," she admitted, her voice shaking. The man nodded. "I can help. Come with me." There was no mockery in his voice, no hint of cruelty. Mara felt a flicker of hope. Slowly, she rose to her feet, wobbling with weakness, and followed him across the cold, rocky land. As they walked, Mara studied him quietly. His movements were careful, respectful, and gentle. He didn't rush her, didn't scold her for her weakness. For the first time that day, Mara felt a small spark of trust. She kept her eyes on the ground, afraid that hope might be dangerous, afraid that it would disappear if she looked too long. Finally, they reached a small settlement tucked into a sheltered valley. A few simple homes and workshops dotted the area, and soft lights glimmered from inside. Mara's stomach growled loudly as the scent of cooked food reached her nose. The man led her to a small table inside a warm, wooden house. "Sit," he said, offering her a chair. "Here, eat this. You need strength." Mara's hands trembled as she accepted a bowl filled with thick stew. The smell alone made her mouth water, and the warmth of the food was like a blanket round her soul. She ate slowly, savoring each bite, her body trembling with relief. "You don't have to worry here," the man said softly. "No one will hurt you." Mara looked at him, her eyes wide with disbelief. She had been mocked, abandoned, and left to die. But now, sitting at this simple table, she felt something she hadn't in a long time: safety. As the night deepened outside, Mara finished her meal. Her body no longer shook as violently, and her mind felt lighter. She glanced at the man who had saved her, her voice small but steady. "Thank you for helping me." He smiled warmly. "Everyone deserves a place at the table, Mara. Don't ever forget that." For the first time in days, Mara allowed herself to believe that maybe, just maybe, she would survive this harsh world. And as the cold wind howled outside, she realized that she was not alone anymore.
The morning air was crisp, carrying the scent of earth and growing plants. Mara stepped outside, stretching her arms as she looked around the settlement. She had grown used to the small community, to the laughter and chatter of humans and aliens working side by side. Today, Aaron had a new plan. He wanted to teach Mara more about the settlement and how she could help protect it. "Ready for another day?" Aaron asked, smiling as he approached with a basket of tools. Mara nodded, feeling a mix of excitement and determination. She wanted to prove that she was capable, that she could contribute, and that her presence mattered. Their first task was to repair the roof of one of the small houses. Mara climbed carefully, her hands gripping the wooden beams. Aaron stayed close, guiding her and offering tips. "Remember," he said, "take it slow and steady. Strength isn't rushing, it's knowing what to do at the right time." Mara nodded, focusing on each movement. She felt her muscles grow stronger with every careful step, and her confidence began to build. As they worked, Mara began to notice how much she could do. Her reflexes allowed her to catch falling tools before they hit the ground, and her agility made climbing and balancing much easier than she expected. Aaron watched her with admiration. "You're learning fast," he said. I think you might even teach me a thing or two one day. Mara laughed softly, a sound that felt lighter than she had in months. After finishing the roof, they moved to the perimeter of the settlement. Aaron explained the importance of keeping the area safe. We have to make sure no one can sneak in without being noticed, he said. Mara nodded, listening closely. She realized this task was different. It required thinking, awareness, and the ability to react quickly. Skills she had often ignored before suddenly seemed very useful. They practiced moving quietly along the edge of the settlement, observing the surroundings. Mara's senses were sharper than she had realized. She could hear the faint rustle of animals in the distance and feel the wind shift before it reached her. Aaron noticed her attentiveness and smiled. You have a gift, he said. Your abilities can help protect everyone here. Mara felt pride swell in her chest. For the first time, she understood that her differences were strengths, not weaknesses. Later, they helped prepare food for the community. Mara chopped vegetables with careful precision, while Aaron stirred a large pot of stew. The simple rhythm of working together felt comforting. Mara realized she enjoyed the teamwork, the feeling of being part of something bigger than herself. Aaron noticed her expression and asked, "Feeling at home yet?" Mara nodded slowly. "Yes. I think I am," she admitted. As the sun climbed higher, a group of young aliens approached the settlement. Mara tensed, worried they might mock her again. But Aaron stepped forward calmly. "Hello," he greeted. "We're working on improving the settlement today. Want to join?" The aliens hesitated, then nodded. Mara observed quietly as they began to help with simple tasks, and she felt a strange sense of pride. This was her home now, and she was part of it. During a break, Mara and Aaron sat on a rock near the stream. Mara glanced at him, curiosity in her eyes. "Why are you so patient with me?" she asked. Aaron thought for a moment, then smiled. "Because everyone deserves patience," he said simply. "Some people give up on others too easily. I don't. And I see potential in you. That's worth waiting for." Mara's heart warmed. She had never experienced such unwavering kindness. As evening approached, Mara noticed how much she had learned in a single day. She could move more confidently, react faster, and understand the needs of the settlement. But more importantly, she realized something about herself she could trust. Trust didn't come instantly, and it didn't erase fear, but it allowed her to grow stronger, braver, and more capable. When the stars began to appear in the darkening sky, Mara and Aaron returned to the small house. The settlement was quiet, filled with a sense of accomplishment. Mara looked around and realized that this place, once foreign and intimidating, now felt like home. She felt a connection not just to Aaron, but to everyone working and living together. That night, Mara sat by the fire, watching the flames dance. She thought about her journey, the cruelty she had faced, and the kindness she had received. A small smile appeared on her face. She understood that strength wasn't just about surviving, it was about learning, growing, and forming bonds with those who cared. And with Aaron by her side, Mara felt ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. For the first time, she allowed herself to imagine a future where she was not just surviving, but thriving. And as the fire crackled softly, Mara whispered to herself, "I can do this. I belong here." The morning air carried an uneasy chill. Mara had sensed it while walking along the edge of the settlement, her instincts alert. Something felt wrong, though the sky was clear and the sun shone brightly. She glanced at Aaron, who was busy checking the fences they had repaired yesterday. "Mara, come here," he called, pointing to a ridge overlooking the settlement. Mara climbed up beside him, her eyes scanning the horizon. A group of aliens appeared in the distance, moving swiftly toward the settlement. Mara's heart skipped a beat as she recognized them, the same ones who had mocked and abandoned her days ago. "They're coming," Mara whispered, her voice tight with worry. Aaron's face remained calm, but his eyes were serious. "Stay close. We'll handle this together," he said. Mara felt a mix of fear and determination. This was not just about herself anymore, it was about protecting the people who had welcomed her, and the settlement that had become her home. Aaron quickly organized the settlement's defenders. Some prepared simple barriers while others gathered tools that could be used as weapons. Mara stood beside him, her senses sharp, her body ready. She remembered his words, "Strength isn't always about fighting, it's about using what you have wisely." She felt a surge of courage. As the outsiders approached, they shouted insults, mocking Mara's presence among humans. "The weakling thinks she belongs here," one of them yelled. Mara clenched her fists but did not step back. She had learned to trust, and she knew she was not alone. The settlers looked to Aaron for guidance, and he nodded to Mara. "Use your speed and senses to help us," he instructed. Mara moved swiftly along the perimeter, alerting the others to any gaps or weak points. She could hear footsteps before they came into view and feel vibrations in the ground as the group approached. Her agility and sharp senses made her a vital part of the defense. The outsiders tried to breach the settlement with a small force, but Mara was ready. She moved silently, intercepting their attempts and warning the defenders. With Aaron's guidance, they worked together to block entrances and guide the attackers away from vulnerable spots. Mara felt a strange sense of exhilaration. She had never used her abilities like this before, and it made her feel capable and strong. One of the outsiders tried to sneak around the back of the settlement. Mara spotted him immediately, her eyes narrowing. She moved quickly, intercepting him before he could cause harm. Using her strength and balance, she managed to trip him, slowing him down long enough for Aaron and another defender to block his path. The alien glared at her, surprised, before retreating. Mara's heart pounded with adrenaline, but she felt proud. She had helped protect the people who had welcomed her. The main group of outsiders eventually realized that their attacks were failing. Mara's quick thinking, combined with Aaron's leadership and the settlers' teamwork, had made the settlement nearly impossible to breach. Frustrated and outnumbered, they finally turned and fled, disappearing into the distance. Mara watched them go, her chest heaving with relief and triumph. Aaron placed a hand on her shoulder. "You did very well today," he said. Mara looked at him, breathing heavily but smiling. "We did it, together," she corrected. Aaron nodded, proud. "Yes, together. And this is just the beginning. There will be more challenges, but I believe in you, Mara." The settlement slowly returned to normal, with settlers repairing minor damages and checking that everyone was safe. Mara walked among them, helping where she could. People thanked her for her bravery, and she realized that she was no longer just a newcomer, she was a valued member of the community. As the sun began to set, Mara and Aaron sat together outside his home. Mara's body ached from the day's events, but her spirit felt stronger than ever. "I never imagined I could do something like this," she admitted softly. Aaron smiled, his eyes filled with pride. "You have more strength than you know. And now you see that you're never truly alone. We face challenges together, and we protect each other." Mara looked around at the settlement, at the people who had once been strangers but now felt like family. She understood something important: courage wasn't the absence of fear, it was acting despite fear, with trust in those who supported you. And in that moment, Mara realized she had finally found a place where she truly belonged. That night, as she lay under the simple roof of Aaron's house, Mara thought about the events of the day. She had faced fear, used her abilities, and discovered her inner strength. And for the first time, she knew that the kindness she had been shown was not just a gift, it was a foundation for a future she could build, a future where she could stand tall and be proud. With a deep breath, Mara closed her eyes and whispered softly to herself, "I am strong. I am not alone." I belong. The morning sun bathed the settlement in warm light, casting long shadows across the small homes and gardens. Mara woke with a renewed sense of purpose. The events of the previous day had changed something inside her. She no longer felt weak or helpless. She had faced danger, protected the settlement, and discovered her own strength. Today, she wanted to continue proving herself. Aaron was already outside, organizing a group of settlers to repair fences and clear debris left from the brief attack. When he saw Mara approaching, he smiled. "Ready to start the day?" he asked. Mara nodded eagerly. "Yes. I want to help wherever I can." The first task was simple but important, repairing a broken water channel that supplied the settlement. Mara worked alongside the humans and aliens, carrying heavy stones, arranging them carefully, and ensuring the water would flow smoothly. As she worked, she noticed the settlers watching her. Some gave small nods, others whispered to one another. Mara felt a warmth in her chest. She was no longer just an outsider, people were starting to notice her abilities and dedication. During a short break, Aaron approached her. "You've done very well," he said softly. Mara looked at him, surprised. "Really?" she asked. Aaron nodded. "Yes. People are noticing your courage and your skill. You've earned respect, Mara. That's something few gain so quickly." Mara smiled, feeling pride and happiness mingling inside her. She had never imagined that respect could feel so rewarding. Later in the morning, a few of the aliens who had previously mocked her approached cautiously. Mara tensed, unsure of their intentions. But instead of ridicule, they spoke with a different tone. "We saw what you did," one said. "You protected the settlement, you were brave." Mara blinked in surprise. Aaron stood beside her, his expression calm but supportive. Mara realized that courage and kindness had the power to change even the harshest hearts. Encouraged, Mara continued her work. She helped teach younger settlers simple skills, showing them how to carry supplies efficiently and how to move quietly along the edges of the settlement. Her confidence grew with each task. She felt stronger not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. For the first time in her life, Mara realized that she could make a real difference. In the afternoon, a group of travelers arrived at the settlement. They had heard stories of the brave newcomers who had defended the village. When they saw Mara, they whispered to one another and pointed. Mara felt a mixture of embarrassment and pride. She had never expected her actions to be noticed outside the small community. Aaron smiled at her, giving her a subtle nod. "See? Your courage inspires others," he said. As the day went on, Mara and Aaron worked together to improve the settlement further. They repaired tools, strengthened fences, and even helped plant new crops. Mara's unique abilities, her agility, sharp senses, and quick reflexes proved invaluable. She realized that being different was no longer a weakness, it was a gift that allowed her to protect and help others. By evening, the settlement gathered around a communal fire. Mara sat beside Aaron, feeling a sense of belonging she had never known. People came forward to thank her, sharing simple gestures of appreciation. Mara smiled warmly, realizing that respect was not given through words alone, it was earned through actions, courage, and kindness. Aaron leaned close and whispered, "You've done more than survive, Mara. You've shown that strength comes from heart and spirit, not just body. People will remember that." Mara felt tears of joy in her eyes. She had been mocked, abandoned, and left to fend for herself, but now she had found a place where she was valued, respected, and appreciated. As night fell, Mara walked to the edge of the settlement, gazing at the stars above. The sky seemed endless, filled with possibilities. She thought about her journey, the loneliness, the fear, the hunger, and realized how far she had come. She had learned to trust, to use her abilities wisely, and to stand proud in the face of danger. Sitting quietly, Mara whispered to herself, "I am not weak. I am strong. I belong. The words felt powerful on her lips, a promise to herself that she would continue to grow, protect, and inspire others. The fire crackled in the background as settlers continued their evening tasks. Mara's heart felt full, warmed not just by the flames but by the knowledge that she had finally found a place where she mattered. And as she looked at Aaron, sitting nearby with a calm and proud expression, she knew that together, they could face any challenge the future held. Mara had earned more than respect. She had earned her place in a community, a home where courage, kindness, and trust could thrive. And with each passing day, she grew more certain that the bonds she had formed were stronger than any obstacle, stronger than fear, and stronger than the memories of those who had once mocked her. The sun rose slowly over the settlement, painting the sky with soft shades of orange and pink. Mara stepped outside, breathing in the crisp morning air. Today felt different. It was quiet, calm, and full of promise. She had grown stronger, more confident, and more connected to the community than she had ever imagined possible. Aaron appeared at the door of his small house, carrying a basket of fresh bread and fruit. "Morning, Mara," he said with a smile. "Ready to start the day?" Mara nodded, her heart light. "Yes, let's begin." Today, they would prepare a special meal for the entire settlement, a way to celebrate the safety, hard work, and unity of the people. Mara felt excitement bubbling inside her. She was no longer the weak, abandoned outsider she had been weeks ago. Now, she was a valued member of this community, ready to contribute in any way she could. As they worked together in the kitchen, Mara carefully chopped vegetables, stirred large pots, and arranged the table with neat precision. Aaron worked beside her, guiding her with gentle encouragement. "Your hands are steady and quick," he said. "You've come a long way, Mara. The people here are lucky to have you." Mara blushed, feeling proud. She had never experienced praise without mockery or hidden motives. When the meal was ready, the settlers began to gather. Humans and aliens alike filled the small courtyard, their faces bright with smiles and anticipation. Mara looked around, taking in the familiar faces of those she had come to know and trust. For the first time, she felt completely at home. Aaron raised his hands, calling for attention. "Today, we celebrate not only our hard work but also the courage and dedication of someone very special." He looked at Mara with pride. "Mara has shown bravery, kindness, and strength. She has helped protect the settlement, taught others, and inspired all of us. Let's welcome her as one of our own." The settlers cheered and clapped, some even stepping forward to shake Mara's hand. Mara felt a lump in her throat. She had never imagined such acceptance, such recognition. The same people who had once feared or ignored her now looked at her with respect and admiration. Her heart swelled with gratitude and joy. Mara stepped forward, her voice quiet but steady. "Thank you," she said. "I never expected this, to be accepted, to belong. I am grateful for your kindness and for giving me a chance. I promise to do my best to protect and help this community, always." The settlers nodded and smiled, welcoming her words. As the meal began, Mara sat at the large communal table, a place of honor beside Aaron. She looked around at the food, the laughter, and the sense of togetherness, feeling a deep warmth in her heart. This was more than a meal. It was a symbol of unity, trust, and the bonds she had forged. During the meal, Mara noticed young settlers watching her with curiosity and admiration. They whispered among themselves, clearly inspired by her courage. Mara smiled, realizing that her journey from fear and hunger to strength and respect could encourage others to believe in themselves. Her experience could teach them that kindness and bravery could overcome cruelty and doubt. After the meal, Mara and Aaron stepped outside, looking over the quiet settlement bathed in the golden light of the late afternoon. "You've done more than survive," Aaron said softly. "You've become a symbol of hope and courage here. I'm proud of you, Mara." Mara looked at him, a warm smile on her face. I couldn't have done it without you, she replied. You gave me a chance, and that made all the difference. They stood together in silence for a moment, watching the stars begin to appear in the sky. Mara thought about the journey she had taken, the hunger, the loneliness, the fear, and the cruelty she had faced. She remembered the moment she had been abandoned, the cold nights, and the hunger that had once seemed unbearable. But those memories no longer held her captive. Instead, they reminded her how far she had come, how strong she had grown, and how valuable trust and kindness could be. Mara finally whispered to herself, I am not alone. I belong. I have a place at the table. The words felt powerful, a promise to herself and a declaration to the world. She had found safety, friendship, and purpose. And most importantly, she had discovered that even in the harshest places, compassion and courage could create a home where everyone could thrive. As night fully fell, the settlement glowed softly under the starlit sky. Mara felt a sense of peace she had never known. She knew that challenges would come, but she was no longer afraid. She had strength, trust, and a community that valued her. And sitting beside Aaron, sharing the warmth of friendship and acceptance, Mara realized she had truly found a place where she belonged, a place at the table, and a place in the hearts of those around her.